Hello guys! This time, maybe I wouldn't talk about this game. Despite I am Japanese, I finally accomplished to climb the summit of Mount Fuji. That's why I found out several Japanese good points. Broadly speaking, nature, access, facilities. I want to talk about these in turn. At first, nature. It is inevitable to take a breath deeply in Mount Fuji, cause human body couldn't adjust to environment of Mount Fuji at once. It suddenly come to 2,500 meters in heights. The temperature is low 10 degrees centigrade than on the ground. At least, gotta take a deeply breath for 1 hour. If don't do it, it's inevitable to get altitude sickness, dizziness, nausea, headache, numbness in the hand. These symptoms will appear within 1 hour. This is a frightening point in Mount Fuji. By the way, the 5th station of Mount Fuji, which is a starting point for climbing, has already in cloud or mist. That's why.
霞の呼吸
Can do look like this demon slayer in Mount Fuji, as if cold air enter to my lung and stir my lung. Well, it passed 5 minutes. My body was used to it. From the 5th station to the old 7th station, such relatively gentle slopes continue. However, from the old 7th station, in other words, from 3,000 meters in height, the trail becomes more difficult. Sometimes I gotta climb cliffs like this. In addition, in this area, I found some climbers got altitude sickness. The most terrifying thing is getting altitude sickness. That's why I always had to take a deeply breath. The result of it, I successed to conquer the summit. By the way, 3,000 meters in heights in this area. I was at the same level as the clouds. And then, the 9th station of Mount Fuji, 3,400 meters in heights. At this point, I was higher than the clouds. I finally got to the 5th station in heights, 3,500 meters. I stayed at the station to get to the summit surely. If I didn't do it, I would die on the way. By the way, I had a curry for dinner. As expected, anything tastes good. When I was exhausted, you know, my stomach had felt heavy for 6 hours. And next day, I went ahead to get to the summit of Mount Fuji. In addition, to look at sunrise. Well, I hardly can see stars that much. It was a pity thing for me. Needless to say, many people thought the same thing. The climbers turned on headlights, climbed the summit. And finally, I got to the summit of Mount Fuji, as if I was at the GGST celestial floor. No, would rather, it's really Celestine floor in Japan. The time was at 4:48. The sunrise started. I was looking forward watch this moment. It was very long climbing. By the way, the temperature of this moment was experientially 10 degrees centigrade. Considering this, between the summit of Mount FUJI and on the ground, the temperature varies greatly. Some people were dressed as marathon runners. I have heard it by TV news. However, I had seen it in real for the first time. Of course, they aren't Japanese people. They were white-collar people who looks like USA people. By the way, this sunrise is beautiful. Needless to say, it was the same that sky are burning red. I started to descend from Mount Fuji, cause I finished to look at sunrise. By the way, The temperature rises little by little when the sun rises at the same time. Nevertheless, it still doesn't change that the summit of Mount FUJI is cool. However, descending is dangerous than climbing. Needless to say, I had to descend like this cliff. If I wasn't careful, I was bound to fall. Nevertheless, it can maintain my vitality then climb. I found that somebody got sick, although only the mark, and that's how it is. The nature of Mount FUJI was beautiful. Next, the access of Mount Fuji. This is also wonderful. It depends on which choose route to climb. However, in my case, I chose Fujinomiya route. That's why I set up a base in Fujinomiya City. Anyway, I moved to Fujinomiya Station by train. Needless to say, Japanese train system is wonderful to work out on time. In addition, there is a bus stop to go to Mount Fuji in front of the Fujinomiya Station. And there are many hotels. Of course, I stayed at that hotel a couple of days. By the way, it took about 1 hour to go to Mount Fuji by bus. It was good to go to Mount FUJI easily. The fee round trip was 3,700 yen, $25. It was cheap than my thought. By the way, it took about 2 hours to go to Shizuoka from Haneda Airport. The moving time is surprisingly short. Furthermore, Japanese Shinkansen. In other words, bullet train is silent and fast during running. That's why it is comfortable to use smartphone in Shinkansen. And finally, facilities around of Mount Fuji. The most notable thing is Aeon. There is Aeon nearby Fujinomiya Station. What is to say? We can buy necessary things in Aeon. Aeon is a kind of shopping mall. Actually, I bought water, right meal that need to climb Mount Fuji. In addition, Japanese rural residents satisfied with Aeon. It is able to get ready if go to shopping in Aeon, cause there are all things in Aeon. Furthermore, the quality are wonderful in IEON. Such IEON, there is nearby Fujinomiya Station. It is comfortable whether we are residents or visitors. According to AI, there is a data that climber of Mount Fuji do it following next. 1. Buy necessary things to climb Mount Fuji in IEO and the day before. 2. The day of the event, climb Mount Fuji. 3. We go to have a dinner and lunch or buy souvenir in Aeon again after descended Mount Fuji. This is the way it goes. Of course, I am rural Japanese people. That's why I did the same thing. Well, exactly. There are IEO and nearby some station in Japan. However, as far as I know, there is Aeon nearby World Heritage Sites in Japan. Such a case is rarely in Japan. Well, it is a fact that there aren't many World Heritage Sites that much. Oh, it is too late. But Mount Fuji is World Heritage Site. Even that alone is notable worldwide. There is a mountain in the USA that is similar to Mount Fuji. However, I didn't know it until yesterday, because that mountain is not World Heritage Sites. In other words, it is too important whether it is World Heritage Sites to be registered as World Heritage Site called for various requirements. However, it is worth satisfying with these requirements for Japan. And that's how I ended up talking about Mount Fuji. Beautiful nature, exceed our physical limits. delicious Japan dishes, good access, long history. These combinations fascinates a lot of foreigners. You guys should climb Mount Fuji.